All right, welcome back. Another episode of the Empty Gym Podcast. As always, it's me, Jack Hobson, and Adam Pollard, and today we are happy to announce our new co-host, Mikey Terzaikis, joining the crew. He has a big Instagram account that we kind of merged together with our podcast that we got going. So kind of helping each other out there, trying to at least. But Mikey, welcome to the show and welcome to the family.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be part of the family. Let's talk some shop.
Yeah, Mike's a big college basketball guy. If you remember, I think it was maybe the third or fourth episode that we ever did. Mike was on, and then another one in March Madness too. But Mike's been on a couple times, but now he's going to be on a lot more. Obviously, now that we have three people, we've talked about how hard it is with scheduling stuff. When it was just me and Adam, and now adding the third person, it's gonna get a little bit tougher. But we'll try to make it work that all three of us can get on as much as possible moving forward. But excited to add Mikey, and I guess we can just get straight into it. Uh, Obviously, Feast Week was last week. Tons of great games, but the tournament that we previewed the most and the tournament that probably delivered the most was Maui Invitational. Uh, Purdue uh, came away with winning that one, looking like they might be number one in the country. Adam.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, this whole entire tournament went not at all how I expected it was going to go. I did not see Tennessee losing to Purdue. I did not think that uh, Kansas was going to beat Tennessee. Just kind of all over the place. But yeah, like you said, Purdue looks legit. And but stop me if you heard this before. But Purdue in the regular season, they look awesome. So I'm trying not to fall back into the trap of Purdue looks so good. It's not tournament time yet, but come tournament time, uh, I feel like I'm not gonna step too far into that door yet because I know Purdue looks good, but I'm not gonna fall into that trap again.
Yeah, I'll say the Maui was a hell of a tournament. I mean, this was a field where we could potentially see three of these teams be on the one line come March. So probably the best field the Maui Invitational's ever had. One thing I will say is I think if Iguodaro stays out of foul trouble for Marquette and Purdue doesn't shoot probably the best they'll shoot this year from three, Marquette probably comes away with that win. But either way, at the tournament, we saw easily four top 10 teams. And in my opinion, three top five teams in Marquette, Purdue, and Kansas.
Yeah, like you said, Mike. Probably the best field Maui's ever seen. Uh, it was insane, but I think the thing that like you talked about, Adam, not maybe trusting Purdue as good as they are in the regular season and have been. The big thing for me was the guards for Purdue this week. Like you said, Mike, they shot probably the best they ever have in that Marquette game. But big thing for me with that Marquette game was, I mean, Marquette. You saw it all week. You've seen it all season. Their defense, their pressure, it can kill guards. It did it to Kansas. I felt like Kansas, like just the like DeJuan Harris, who I last week talked about being maybe the best point guard in the country. Uh, I don't remember exactly how many he had, but there's sometimes he just looked lost with the ball and turned it over a bunch. That whole team was turning it over, just couldn't get open looks, couldn't get good shots. And then, sometimes with that defensive pressure, it would break down and they would get an open look occasionally. But that's just kind of what you're willing to give up with Shaka Smart's defense with that really aggressive pressure. But uh, where is this? Fletcher, yeah, Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith. Big thing for me in that Marquette game. Each of them only had two turnovers, which I feel like if Purdue played this Marquette team last year, uh, I think Smith and Lawyer would have had like 4 or 5 each. So I thought the improvement there was big. Braden Smith ended up having 18 points in that game, 4 of 6 from three, so he shot the ball really well, like you mentioned, Mike. And then Fletcher kind of had his breakout game against Tennessee when he dropped 27. But the big thing for me was seeing the improvement of the guards. You still got a big question mark at the 4 with them. Didn't really get anything out of Trey Kaufman-Renn, Mason Gillis, Ethan Morton, Caleb First. That's a big question mark for me. And then the bench production all week wasn't very good. 14 points against Gonzaga from the bench, 3 versus Tennessee, and only 5 against Marquette. So those are my 2 kind of question marks with Purdue right now. But I do feel a lot more confident about them this year with how well the guards played this week.
Yeah, and Edey was named the tournament MVP, and like absolutely no surprise there. Definitely well deserved. And I think I talked about last episode with Edey's free throw shooting. If it keeps at the level that it's at, like Purdue is going to be very scary. I think they already are, but if it continues this way, like I said, like the hack a Shaq game plan is going to kind of have to go out the window in a way. You have to find other ways to play against Zach Edey. He had those 2 big free throws at the end of the game with like less than 20, 30 seconds left. That kind of put him up. But yeah, if Purdue looks legit, that's kind of the moral of the story here after this loaded field.
Yeah, and you look at the Big Ten right now, and all the other teams in the Big Ten have struggled. I mean, Nebraska hasn't lost. Purdue looks great. There's one other team that has looked pretty good so far. Who was it? Just looking at the Big Ten standings.
Maybe the Fighting Illini?
Yeah. No, I don't know why I blanked on them, but yeah. Those are like the 3 teams that have looked sharp so far in the Big Ten. Outside of that, a lot of the teams that had high expectations are really struggling right now. So it's looking like Purdue could walk away with the Big Ten and potentially be like a 2-loss team come March. Lot of ball to be played, but Purdue looked really good. Their guards look vastly improved. So it's gonna be a hell of a year for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, they show no signs of slowing down, especially in the regular season. Like you said, Adam, Edey's going to be Edey. He averaged 25 and 13 this tournament. That's just becoming a night in and night out basis for him. But yeah, I think when we've talked about it from the jump, Adam and Mike, I'm sure you agree as well. This season relies solely on the guards and their development and improvement over the year and the shooting. Because like last year, Purdue, there was some analytic that I went to a clinic this summer and Painter was at it and doing a little thing or whatever at the clinic, and he said that they were like top 10 or something like that in the country and getting open threes. They just couldn't make any of them. So if they start to hit more of these shots, especially those guards when Edey's getting doubled and sometimes even triple teamed, if like they're getting the open looks, the next step is actually obviously making those open looks. So that's the big step for them. I do want to talk about Marquette a little bit. They kind of survived UCLA in that late game Monday night. That was a kind of a wild game, especially a wild ending. Last 10 minutes or so was like up and down the whole time, but survived UCLA. But then they did lose to Purdue, obviously, but they did dominate Kansas. And like I kind of talked about with DeJuan Harris, like they just made Kansas look foolish at times, turning the ball over. Like they couldn't get open looks at all. And just like, and with their offense, how fast paced they are. I'm looking at KenPom right now. They're the 8th fastest offensive team in the country. They average possession length is only 14.7 seconds long, so not even using half the shot clock majority of the time. So I mean, this is a just crazy good offensive team, and the defense, I think it's very good. I think they're very good at pressuring the ball and forcing turnovers. My one concern with that a little bit is if you kind of face a team that can, I guess, kind of like is a little bit more, and I thought that would be Kansas, so maybe I'm wrong on this too, but a team that's a little bit more veteran laden, has older guards, is able to maintain the pressure. Teams can get a lot of open looks against them, but I mean, so far so good for Marquette, but this besides that Purdue loss.
Yeah, and the way that they play kind of reminds you, like in transition, it's kind of like an Izzo team that where they just super fast, super quick in transition. That's where they can get a majority of their points. And then like their whole offense, it kind of is like 2016, 18 Gold State Warriors, where it's just so fast paced. Like you said, not using a whole lot of the shot clock. Um, but the way that that Marquette played against Kansas, I thought that Marquette was just going to go in and dominate Purdue. To an extent, they kind of did. Not really. Obviously, Purdue came out with a win, but I think Marquette definitely played well enough to win that game. But yeah, like Mikey said, they'd have some foul trouble, but I think if Marquette can play like how they did against Kansas, like they're going to be a very scary team that like you do not want to play in March if you can avoid them at all costs.
Yeah, going off their performance against Kansas, I got to say it was probably one of the most impressive offensive and defensive performances I have seen from a college basketball team this season. I mean, to make Kansas just look like they have no sort of rhythm offensively for 40 minutes, especially with a team with a ton of experience, is super impressive. I was even more impressed with the way Iguodala was able to lock up Hunter Dickinson. I mean, nothing was easy for Kansas. And then whenever Marquette would get deflections, because obviously they have that big deflection board that Shaka Smart loves, they would just run out in transition and have constant 2-on-1, 3-on-2 opportunities. And, this Marquette team is – I look at this team and I see a pretty complete team, a team that could get at you offensively, a team that has really good guards, a team that shoots a three pretty well. Iguodala has shown that he can stick around with elite big men in college basketball. It's going to be a very interesting Marquette team this year, and I think a team that is like a top 3 favorite to win the national championship. I'm that high on them.
Yeah, I mean they're a team that they don't turn the ball over. They shoot the ball good enough from outside. Especially guys like Cam Jones. Kolek's a pretty solid shooter. Stevie Mitchell can get going at times. They're like don't turn the ball over. Good enough shooting. They're getting so many fast break transition points that half the time they don't even need to shoot threes because they're just getting layups at the rim and 2-on-1s and everything and 3-on-2s like you were saying. But this is definitely a scary team. That's going to be very good all year long and definitely contend in the Big East and definitely contend for a national championship. But yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to talk about on Marquette,
I'm all good.
Just run through some quick ones here with the rest of the Maui. Kansas. We'll talk about Kansas and Tennessee kind of together a little bit. Kansas, obviously, like we talked about, just looked out of rhythm against Marquette. Able to find a way to win against Tennessee. That was kind of a close game throughout. And then Tennessee, obviously, one of these teams had to go 1-2. I was not expecting it to be Tennessee, but I didn't. Also, at the same time, I don't know who I would expect it to be. But Tennessee goes home 1-2. Not the tournament they would want, but Kansas finds a way to win in that one. Trying to think of some others. UCLA goes 1-2. Gonzaga, after losing the first one, finds a way to go 2-1. Syracuse went 1-2, right? They beat Chaminade. Yeah. Chaminade, the Silver Swords, 0-3. Tough one for them, but always good to see Chaminade in the tournament.
Every once in a while, they'll pull out a win. They'll go 1-2.
82, biggest upset of all time, beating Ralph Sampson in Virginia.
Obviously that one.
but yeah, Maui was an awesome tournament. So any thoughts you guys have on any of the rest of the teams in Maui?
Just one quick thing on Tennessee. They're getting put through an absolute gauntlet right now, and with their schedule. They started out with Purdue, they got Kansas, and now they go and play at North Carolina. And then 2 games later, they go and play Illinois. So Tennessee is getting put through a gauntlet right now. So it's kind of like the measuring stick part of the season that we always kind of talk about. But like you said, it's not the tournament that they wanted. And it kind of surprises me seeing how this Tennessee team played against Purdue and Kansas.
I have some thoughts on UCLA. I know they went 1-2 in the tournament, but this team looks like it could be the second best team in the Pac-12, which is especially impressive considering they lost like basically their entire starting lineup. Jaquez is in the NBA. I think they all declared for the draft, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Overseas. But I mean, they have a pretty much an entirely new starting lineup, and they looked pretty good. I mean, they played Marquette down to the last possession, who is a top 5 team in college basketball. I think no one's debating that. And then they played Gonzaga down to the final possessions as well. I think this UCLA team is going to probably be the second best team in the Pac-12. I mean, obviously you have Arizona at the top, but the Pac-12 is pretty wide open outside of that. I know people are pretty high on Colorado, maybe Oregon, but I think UCLA, although they went 1-2, they were pretty impressive this week in the Maui. They played some competitive matchups.
Yeah. I mean, any draw that anyone was getting in this tournament was going to be a tough one. It's really fun for us, probably not very fun for the coaches, having to have that many tough games back to back to back that early in the season. But it was a ton of fun to watch. But yeah, I guess let's move on to the battle for Atlantis. Villanova comes out of nowhere, lost to Penn 2 weeks ago, and goes down to the Bahamas and wins that tournament. That was really surprising to me. I kind of thought I've been kind of low on Villanova all year. Not really because of their roster. I think they have a great roster, but I wasn't sure if Kyle Neptune was the guy, but he kind of proved it this past week in the Bahamas.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing that we had on Villanova last episode was the coaching. But they go in out of nowhere and they do beat a very good North Carolina team in the championship, and they also do blow out a team, a Texas Tech team that I was kind of had some sneaky high hopes for them. Not like anything crazy, but I thought they were going to be a pretty sound team, and just Villanova just won and dominated that tournament.
Yeah, Villanova looked very sharp, and things were not looking good for Kyle Neptune. This was a tournament where Villanova had to at least go 2-1 to kind of show that they're back in any sort of way. And they went out and they were emphatic in their victories. I mean, obviously they beat Texas Tech by a lot. They were up at one point by 35 against Memphis, and then obviously beat a very good North Carolina team in overtime. This is a tournament. This could be like a turning point for Kyle Neptune's coaching career, because obviously it's gotten off to a shaky start. I mean, last year you look at them; they had a ton of injuries, with Whitmore being out the first 8 games, and then Justin Moore being out until like February. So now there's no excuses for Neptune anymore. He's got a healthy lineup, a ton of transfers, a lot of talent, and he finally utilized that talent and got 3 what will be huge victories come March for quadrant 1 and quadrant 2 opportunities, and went out and won a really tough battle for Atlantis Field. So good for Villanova.
Yeah, like we talked, or like you said, Mike. Not really any excuses left for Neptune, and he came up big and delivered with this one. Carolina, move on to them. They looked pretty solid despite that loss to Nova. Went 2-1. I'm blanking on who they played. I don't have it right in front of me, but
they did UNI, Nova, and then Arkansas.
Yeah. So Carolina looked pretty solid. I think they're a team that is just going to continue to get better. I thought they were going to come out and win this tournament. I don't think we kept track of the winners of our tournaments, but I don't think they went very well.
I don't think they did either.
Yeah. They're on the IG. I mean, kind of curious to see how you guys did. I didn't really.
I know Jack picked Kansas, and I picked Tennessee, and I had Arkansas, and Jack had North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good 0 for 4 start.
And you guys both had A&M for the ESPN event.
Yeah. So
you guys both picked Baylor though. So, and then Jack, you picked Ohio. We'll get into those later. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
No, you're all good. But yeah, Carolina looks solid. I think Nova kind of was just a wrecking ball in that tournament. Um, this reminds me a little bit of the 2019 Bahamas battle for Atlantis when Michigan kind of ran through, uh, and then that kind of set them up for a pretty solid rest of the year, but wasn't quite to the expectations that it was uh, after they left the Bahamas. They still had a pretty solid year that year, but uh, didn't like. I think they got up to like from like unranked to like third in the country after that tournament or something, and then kind of struggled a little bit after that. Still would have made the tournament that year, but that was the COVID year. But uh, so hopefully that doesn't happen for Villanova if you're a Wildcats fan. But I think Nova has a pretty good shot of being pretty good, and I'm excited to kind of see how that develops for them. I guess Carolina, I think they're going to keep getting solid or keep getting better as they go. They that freshman guard whose name escapes me right now. I think
Ellie
he's going
Cadeau.
to Cadeau. Yeah, I think he's going to continue to get better. Arkansas, tough one for them losing Trayvon Mark, him getting hurt. I haven't seen an update on that. Uh,
I think some of the results came back negative,
that's
but I haven't
good.
seen anything else.
Yeah, so hopefully he's not out for too long. But uh, that's always a solid tournament too. Not quite as good as the Maui in my opinion, but definitely not this year. But overall, I think Maui's just a little bit more fun. But that was a pretty solid tournament with some solid teams. So I think that's going to be one where we see a lot of these teams be successful throughout the year.
Yeah, and that Villanova UNC game brought back a lot of good memories for me because that was the first time that Villanova and UNC played since the 2016 national championship with the Chris Jenkins shot. I think all Duke fans are pretty excited to see that, and they kept playing that replay in that game, and they were talking about it, and it was just awesome to hear.
That was really the last time they played. They haven't played prior to that.
I think that was the last time they played was
Yeah,
2016.
That's crazy.
yeah, but yeah, good tournament down there. Shall we move on to the ESPN events invitational?
Let's do it.
Some might say the story of that tournament was FAU winning it all, beating Texas A&M. Uh, but you know what? Let's start it off with the Dogs. Dogs go down there, go 2-1, play FAU close, and you know what? We got Texas Tech on Thursday. Tomorrow night, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, when this is going to get released. But you know what? I'm juiced up right now. All I wanted down there was 2-1, and we got it. And we played FAU close, so I'm excited about that. Excited about the Dogs.
Yeah, good for the Dogs. They did play Florida Atlantic very close, um, but Florida Atlantic surprised me a lot in this game or this tournament. Sorry. Um, I kind of thought that Texas A&M was just going to run through this tournament and that Wade Taylor and Tyrese Radford were just going to take over this entire tournament and that it was just going to be blowout win after blowout win. That was not the case. Wade Taylor, I think he had like 35 points one game, so like they didn't play, those two guards didn't play terrible by any means, but Florida Atlantic definitely surprised me in this tournament.
I mean, you just look at Florida Atlantic. I mean, they have the exact same team as last year, besides Michael Forrest. This is a Florida Atlantic team that just has so much talent and so much young talent because a lot of their roster last year during that Final Four run were primarily freshmen and sophomores. So, and another thing with Florida Atlantic, there were a lot of people calling them overrated. You know, obviously the loss to Bryant kind of created some buzz on that, but they really took care of business and just dominated. It wasn't Iowa State. Who was it?
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. They dominated Virginia Tech by like 40 in the championship game. So they're starting to find their stride again. Dogs were the team that played them the toughest. But yeah, this FAU team's they're legit. They're legit. They're going to be at the top of the American with Memphis.
Yeah, A&M lost Radford and Coleman in the second half of that FAU game, which I think kind of turned that game a little bit. But that's still was a good win for FAU. And then A&M was able to. Did they win that last game? I don't even remember, to be honest.
Yeah,
They
they beat
They beat.
Iowa State by 4.
Iowa State, they came back second
Yeah,
half. Got it done.
yeah. Yeah, I remember I was watching that game like the first half, and then I turned it off. But I remember it was close, because they didn't have Radford or Coleman in because they got hurt in that FAU game. But yeah, I mean Florida Atlantic, can't say it enough. Uh, it's a team that I think that Bryant loss might be more good for them than bad in a sense. Like I don't think it's going to hurt them in the long term of things. I think, uh, especially with the way that they came out this week, or this past week down in Florida. Um, I think if they would have let it snowball into something bad, then it could have turned bad. But I think no one's going to really look at that Bryant loss at the end of the year if they keep playing like this. So that might have been a good wake up call for them. I mean, they shot terribly. Bryant was throwing all kinds of random zones at them and stuff. So it's like you're gonna have one of those games. You'd like to obviously find a way to come out and win it instead of lose it. Like you always like the wake up calls to be wins instead of losses, but sometimes they're more effective if they're losses in a way. So maybe that Bryant game was a kind of a wake up call for FAU, but I think they're gonna be in the thick of things all year. They got a tough one up in MSG next Tuesday against the Fighting
Yeah.
Illini. Do they have any other big non-conference games before conference
Yeah, they
season
play
starts?
Arizona and Vegas. I was
Yeah,
actually looking at the schedule yesterday. They got some tough games.
yeah. So they still got a couple more tests before they get into the American. American's still a solid league, but not quite as good as it was with like Cincinnati and Houston being out of it now. But still a solid league, still a pretty good league. Though a lot of quality wins that they'll find in there. But getting through this non-conference, and especially bouncing back after that Bryant loss, was huge for them. Texas A&M, obviously, like we kind of talked about, looked pretty solid, but kind of tough losing two of your top three or four best players. Uh, and then I'm trying to think of some other teams down there, what they did, but yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I feel like for the most part, FAU just looks really good. Texas A&M, I think they'll be fine, and the Dogs, who knows? Who knows what the Dogs are gonna do? Mike, I want to hear your thoughts on the Dogs being a fellow Dog.
Being a fellow dog, I was very happy. You know, they pretty much. I mean, obviously, it would have been great to beat Florida Atlantic, but I'm happy with the result. They played them tough. They didn't get blown out by 20.
That's a
And then
step in the right direction for us.
exactly because last year's team, when Florida Atlantic went up 10 in the first half, last year's team would have completely folded. It would have been a 25-point loss. It would have been a disaster. But this team stayed in the game, stayed composed. They didn't get it done, but then they went out and won the next two games, which was big. Those are going to be two decent wins come March, I think. I think Boise's always pretty competitive in the Mountain West, and Penn State, and they got some talent. But yeah, this Butler team, I'm thinking maybe, and I was calculating the schedule a little bit, looking at games that could be wins and losses. I think 19-12 is doable. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's doable. Got to take it one game at a time. Big one against the Red Raiders on Thursday.
That's what I was saying. If we can get this one Thursday, that gets then I got a good feeling about getting out of non-conference 9-2.
Yeah.
Then if we can scratch and claw our way to 10-10 in the Big East, get us at 19-12.
And dude, you look at the Big East right now, like outside of, Marquette, UConn, Creighton, and Villanova, everyone else is pretty much even. I mean,
Yeah.
Xavier doesn't have Freemantle and Hunter. Providence has looked pretty good. St. John's and Seton Hall are kind of overrated. It's very like going 10-10 in the Big East this year is very manageable. It's doable.
Yeah, we got to sweep who we're supposed to with Georgetown and DePaul.
Yeah.
Got to pretty much split everyone else and find a way to sweep one of them between like you said, like Xavier, St. John, Seton Hall, Providence. Like if we can split all of those and then find a way to sweep one, that puts us at what? 4 + 3 is 7. Like that puts us at like 8, 9, something like that. And then if we can pick one off against that top 4,
yeah,
a little Hinkle magic in there.
Yeah, we beat Villanova last year. Different team, but We can get it done. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
The boys in Indy are juiced up
We're
right now. But yeah,
Never
Thursday is Thursday's a big one, and nothing bad ever happens when the boys are juiced up, right? Like
Never.
It's not supposed to.
it never just falls right in our face. But yeah, big one Thursday. But some of the other stuff of this week, Ohio State gets a big win over Alabama, and wins. What was it, Fort Myers or something? Tip off.
That Emerald Coast Classic.
Emerald Coast Classic. They beat Alabama and then beat Santa Clara to win that. I picked Ohio State, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You got it right.
Yeah, I kind of
Nice
just
work,
like
Jack.
was that. I think that might be the only one I got right besides Baylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Did I get any other ones right?
Nah.
Tough.
It was a tough one. Hey, I think you got the Gavitt games perfect, though.
I did
That's-
get the Gavitt games perfect.
Yeah, you guessed the Gavitt games to perfection, I believe. Where are they? Yeah, you got all that Gavitt games right. So
I went 6-2, but I went with heart picks for a couple.
So what we learning out of that, Jack?
Yeah, don't go with the heart. Go with the
Don't
head.
go with the heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
If I had heart in there, I would have picked the heart, but I didn't have any, so I went with my mind. The gut.
That's the goal of this of these next couple months too, is to get you to be a big Dogs fan and start going with heart over head with those Dogs picks.
I don't know if I can be a Dogs fan. They bring me back some bad vibes with Gordon Hayward and the 2010 national championship.
You guys still won that.
I know it still haunts me though.
It was
'Cause that
close.
shot was really close to going in.
It was very close. But Baylor won their tournament. BYU, I was very impressed with this week. They beat NC State in the championship of that Vegas showdown, and then who was their first game? Why am I blanking on that?
San Diego State.
No, it wasn't San Diego State. They've beaten San Diego State this year, but who was their first game in that Vegas?
Oh, I thought you meant their first game of the season. Was it Vandy or was it Arizona State?
No, it was
Arizona State.
It was Arizona State, yeah, because
My
NC
Sun
State
Devils
played Vandy.
stink.
Yeah, your boys out in
Mhm.
Tempe.
I say.
That's what they get for not giving you a media credential.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. The guy still has not answered my email.
You know what?
Help an Arizona State student out. Come on.
Empty gym pod curse. If you don't give us media passes, team doesn't play well. But
Make our own media passes.
but yeah, BYU looks really good this year. Obviously, like you mentioned, Mike, that win over San Diego State and then picking up 2 in Vegas. I feel like it was kind of obvious that BYU would win in Vegas because they were the only team that weren't distracted by Vegas, being the Mormons.
We'll stay focused.
I don't know if Jaden Taylor and the NC State Wolfpack were being focused out in Vegas, but the Cougars were. So I was really impressed with them. Been impressed with them all year. Me and Mike were talking about this. Saturday nights in Provo are electric. Gonna miss not seeing them against Gonzaga and St. Mary's, but what do we say? They got like K-State on a Saturday night.
Got a couple big ones.
Couple big ones on a Saturday night in Provo.
I think they play. Do they play Houston?
Houston was on a Tuesday. I remember that.
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing they didn't give BYU Kansas. That would have been an electric atmosphere.
Kansas walking into the Marriott Center on a Saturday night. You never know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
Does BYU still have a Hawes kid playing there? I feel like they should.
Not anymore.
I feel like they should.
Yeah,
There's got to be another one around there.
There's definitely going to be a Hawes Jr. coming soon, though.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll be a stud at BYU.
Yeah.
drop 20 a game, lead them to a round of 32 matchup with whoever. That's the Hawes tradition.
Yeah, but yeah, BYU looked really good in that. Any other feast week? I guess Arizona beating Michigan State. Arizona jumped out to a huge lead in the first half, and then Michigan State kind of clawed their way back and gave themselves a chance at the end, but Arizona was able to pull that one off. Any other games that I'm missing from last week that were big?
I mean, how about Colorado State dominating Creighton?
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah, Colorado State, not really a team that you see as sneaky in the Mountain West. Can be from time to time, but who's it? Was that Rivera kid that went off?
I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into Colorado.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Didn't Shireman get hurt in the game though?
Yeah, he did. I think. Yeah, but
It's
I don't
still,
Baylor Sharman, not Bailey.
we had that debate a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's
But yeah, I think it was the Rivera kid that played so well for Colorado State. But yeah, I mean, Creighton, they took Creighton out of what they normally do, which is score a bajillion points, and shows that Creighton might be beatable, which at times it looked like they might not be with the way their offense is. Their defense is, they're offensively similar to Marquette. Me and Adam were talking about this. I think it was last week, when there was a picture on Twitter of this guy was like, if you're wondering if Creighton's going to be fun to watch this year, the answer is yes. And it's Stephen Ashworth pulling up from like 8 feet behind the line with like 27 seconds left on the shot clock. And it's like, yeah, Baylor or Creighton's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. The defense, like I said, offense is very similar to Marquette in the way that they're very up tempo. Like they'll pull from
That's
anywhere.
Gonna be an electric game.
That game's gonna be wild.
Gonna rule.
fast.
That's gonna be a billion points. But their defense is
Fun.
yeah. Their defense is you could ask more out of it, but
Oh, definitely.
But why not watch a shootout? You know.
Yeah. But we'll see how that goes for Creighton, how they bounce back from that one. Or go ahead.
I was just gonna say, one flaw I see with Creighton is if they don't shoot well, then they're gonna lose the game, like pretty much guaranteed, because they're not gonna win a game defensively. I mean, we saw they only put up 48 against Colorado State. Like, I don't know what happened there. Obviously, Shireman was out, but yeah, they gotta score pretty much 75 plus to win ball games.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. How it is with them. I think that's kind of it from Feast Week, unless I'm missing anything else. But shall we move to Team of the Week?
Yeah,
Adam, you want to give yours?
Yeah, my Team of the Week is the Bradley Braves, 6-0. The Bradley Braves did receive one AP Top 25 vote. So whoever voted for the Bradley Braves, you're doing good. Thank you.
Someone buy that man a beer.
Exactly. Start the hashtag. It's already been going around. Hashtag rank Bradley. It's been going around. I've been seeing it. So tweet that hashtag. Let's get it trending. Let's put the world on notice for the Bradley Braves. But the Vermont Catamounts, a good team. They came into Carver and Bradley dominated them. It was an awesome game. The Empty Gym podcast did have boots on the ground. If you follow Twitter, you would have seen that. But I love this Bradley team. I love Brian Wardle.
Cherish him.
I'm just very happy to see a very competent Bradley basketball team on the floor. And not to say they haven't been, but there have been games where they have looked like previous Bradley basketball teams where you go and watch and they lose by 40. So this team is so fun to watch. They're my Team of the Week. Hashtag rank Bradley. Get them in the top 25. They deserve it.
Yeah. There's no question here that you got two big Braves fans, and we convince Mike to root for the Braves every once in a while too when we need them. But the Braves, That Vermont game was huge for them. I thought going up against a team like that who's good year in and year out. John Becker, one of the
That's a
best
tournament
coaches.
team usually.
Yeah, they're always at the top of the America East, uh, and to like Vermont kind of came back late, hit a bunch of shots late to kind of make the score look closer than it really was.
I think one
Uh,
guy hit like 4 threes in the last minute of the game.
yeah, I was watching the end of that, and he
I'm
was
blanking
just
on
going
his name.
crazy.
I don't know, but it did kind of scare me for a little bit.
Yeah, but to dominate Vermont the way they did, obviously they don't have a Power Five team on the schedule this year. Partially because I don't think anyone really wants to play them. Uh, the Valley, I feel like often gets kind of left out in Power Five games because they're a higher level mid major, and people don't really want to risk that. So it's kind of tough when you're a Valley team because like you're a good team, but people are scared to kind of schedule you, so you get kind of a not as many chances for those
You're
like big
lacking like the
marquee
resume
wins.
wins.
Yeah, so you're kind of banking on the conference championship. So it's like you could have this great season, and if you have one bad game in St. Louis, who knows what's going to happen. But right now, Bradley looks really good, and they've been really fun to watch. Their defense is just amazing, as it's always been under Wardle. Uh, and the offense, I think the biggest thing for me, too, is that the offense continues to look better. Uh, Leons continues to be really good. Darius Hannah, I swear, had like 3 alley-oop dunks and like
Yeah,
two
he
of them
hit
in that
17
last minute.
points. He has improved so much, for this year. The past couple of years, he's been a guy that like Wardle has wanted to play, but he just hasn't had that production. So it's nice to see Darius Hannah step into that role with Rank Mass being gone.
Yeah. I feel like this has kind of turned into the Valley Minute. So
It has turned into the Valley.
if you
I
have
love
it, if you have anything else on the Valley Minute, let's just move to it now, and then me and Mike can do our teams of the week after.
Well, I'll say one thing about Bradley. Bradley versus Drake. I was looking at the schedule. February 10th. That's a game right there.
Is that at Carver?
That's it. Is that Bradley's home court?
Yeah.
Carver Arena,
Braves game.
home of the Peoria Rivermen too.
Former AHL, current semi-pro hockey team.
Well, either way, I mean Bradley has some good wins on there. I mean UAB's a good win. Utah State's a pretty good win. You know, if they go like 29-4, they could maybe. And I know I do this a lot. I look way ahead. Can't help myself, but if they have a really good non-conference, stay unbeaten, and go like 15-3, 14-4 in the Valley, maybe, just maybe, they can get that at large. I think they should if you're a 29-4 team in the Missouri.
Rank Bradley.
Rank Bradley.
But yeah, rank them. I'm all in.
I think that Bradley Evansville games would be really good too. Is Evansville still undefeated?
They're on
Yeah.
6-0.
Yeah. Shout out David Ragland, former Butler
Aces.
assistant, taking Evansville, a job that has been tough to win at for a long time, and he's got the Aces 6-0 now. So shout out Rags, my boy, my dog, former dog assistant. But yeah, Mike, you got a team of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Oklahoma Sooners. One that what was the name of the tournament? I believe it was like I don't know. It was in Florida. It was a tough field. They had Iowa, USC, and Seton Hall. Went 2-0, beat a really good USC team. 6-0 Oklahoma team with a ton of transfers. Obviously, I'm really high on this guy from Siena, transfer Javion McCollum. He looked really good against Iowa. I think he had like 25 points or something like that. This is an Oklahoma team that I think could be a dangerous team in the Big 12. I like them making the tournament on like the 8 or 9 line. Really solid team all around. Porter Mosier starting to finally trend that Sooners team in the right direction. So I'm going to go with them for my team.
Yeah, they're a team that I think kind of didn't have expectations like they have had in previous years. And and they're kind of coming out of nowhere. Now they're 6-0, like you said, got that big win over USC. Obviously, USC is not at full strength yet, but still a very good team, headlined by Boogie Ellis. So Oklahoma continues to get better, and 6-0, nothing to laugh at there. They're obviously gonna go through a gauntlet starting in a couple weeks with the Big 12. So we'll see how they kind of get through that. But a team that's kind of come out, didn't really have very much expectations coming into this year and been playing very well so far.
Oklahoma's stealing a spot in the AP top 25 from Bradley. So
sensitive subject.
So I guess we're anti-Oklahoma, except for Mike. But yeah. My team of the week, we already talked about them, but I'm going Villanova. I think I was kind of between Villanova. I mean, obviously Purdue is kind of up there too, for having the most impressive week, obviously. But I think Villanova's is slightly more impressive to me, just the way that coming off that loss to Penn and then going down there and winning those games down in the Bahamas. I think the way that they were able to bounce back, and I think a great job by Kyle Neptune. I think especially in those tournaments where it's 3 games in 3 days, I think coaching comes into it a lot more than just a random game in the middle of the week or something like that, where you got time to figure stuff out. Like obviously players make plays and everything, but I think coaching is a very important part of those quick turnarounds and kind of getting everyone on the same page and everything like that, and keeping guys motivated when they're obviously kind of just going after night after night, 3 days in a row. So I'm going with Villanova for my team of the week, but there was a plethora of options this week with so many games going on. But yeah.
I think for Villanova too, the Eric Dixon game against UNC has kind of gone under the radar. He had like 34 points and 10 boards, I think.
Yeah, he was wild this week. So he's definitely returning to the form that we thought he could be. And he's kind of shown it in past years, and now it's kind of more the headliner on the team instead of kind of a rotational big, or kind of not taking the spotlight as much. Obviously, just the Moore's kind of the main guy on that team, but Eric Dixon has been awesome, especially this past week.
Yeah, and it's a different dynamic for Villanova because they're known for their great guards, Brunson, Arcidiacono, Gillespie. Now their best player and their top scorer is a big, something that Villanova really never had as a basketball team. So it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe that's Neptune's style. It's going to be interesting to see how they really run their offense, because they're a team that shoots a ton of threes, and now they have a big man that's going to be the number one option for scoring.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of changes over there in Philly as they get into year 2 of the Kyle Neptune era. Adam, you have our story of the week. Would you like to share that?
I do have the story of the week. This comes off the great app website of Twitter, or X now. Still going to call it Twitter. But this comes actually from the Kansas-Tennessee game. Samuel L. Jackson tweeted during the Kansas-Tennessee game, damn, this Dickinson MF on @KU Hoops flops like he's on the soccer pitch, with 3 exclamation points. 2 things that stick out to me on this one. One, this is just hilarious. This is just a great tweet. 2, I didn't know Samuel L. Jackson was an avid college basketball fan, because you got to be a pretty good college basketball fan to be watching college basketball around Thanksgiving when football's on.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, was not expecting that from Samuel L. Jackson, but that tweet was awesome, especially coming from multiple Hunter Dickinson haters. To know that we got Samuel L. Jackson on our side is very nice to hear. But that tweet was hilarious.
It could be from those Capital One commercials he's always doing in March. Maybe they got him. Maybe he found his true love.
That's true. I totally forgot about that.
Sticks to it. Shout out Samuel L. though for watching college basketball in November. It takes a true man to do that.
I guess he's always watching himself in March, watching the games, looking for when he's going to be on the commercials, and then maybe he just kind of fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, he just saw a gritty 8-9 matchup and was like, I need this.
Yeah, who cares about Thanksgiving football when you got Hunter Dickinson flopping like he's on the soccer pitch? But
That's an awesome tweet.
yeah. All right, should we move on to the ACC SEC challenge?
Let's do it.
Well, we are halfway through the ACC SEC challenge. There are still 2 games in progress right now as we speak. So far tonight, the big headliner game of Tuesday night, which is the night obviously that we're recording right now, Kentucky Miami, and Kentucky absolutely dominated Miami, especially pulling away in the second half. Scored 53 points in the second half. It was a 5-point game at halftime, and then Kentucky just came out of the gates in the second half, went on a run. Miami's kind of first big, especially big road test. They played Kansas State and Georgia down in the Bahamas as well, but first big test and definitely first big road test for Miami. But Kentucky continues to get better. Reeves had 18. Trey Mitchell had 14. Reed Shepard, the freshman, who I love, had 21. Awesome shooter. I swear he gets like 2 or 3 steals a night. He's been a lot of fun to watch, but I'm normally not a big Kentucky guy, but I'm really high on this team, and they played great tonight against Miami.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a little trap game in a way where you see, Miami's top 10. They're playing a young Kentucky team. Like this kind of has Miami written all over it, but Kentucky can score and they can shoot, and they're a very fun team to watch. I was kind of surprised they won by this much because I do think Miami's a very good team with Norchad Omier and Nigel Pack, and even Wooga Poplar in there. But this did kind of surprise me though. But this is kind of like a statement win for Kentucky, saying like, hey, we're still around. Like we're still one of the Blue Bloods, the best team, one of the best teams in college basketball. Like statement win for Kentucky here.
Yeah, and Hobby, you were talking about this even prior to the season. Coach Cal's back, doing what he loves. 4 freshmen in the starting rotation and like 1 veteran. 7-man, small rotation, pretty much all lower classmen, 1 veteran mixed in there, guys who could shoot the 3. This is Kentucky basketball. This is the Kentucky basketball we were all raised on. None of this transfer BS, just all freshmen brought into the starting lineup, figure it out. And they've looked really good so far. I mean, they very close to beating a top 5 Kansas team in the country and dominated a really good Miami team that's going to be at top of the ACC tonight. So this Kentucky team is going to be legit. I think it's going to be them and Tennessee kind of duking it out for the top of the SEC. Very impressive win for them.
And I think the scariest thing too is that these freshmen are just going to continue to get better as the year goes on. I think Kentucky could turn into a legitimate title contender. I think when you got a guy like Shepard who can, like obviously tonight, lead you in scoring, and he's kind of your 7th, 8th man, just with the way he shoots the ball. And then you got guys like obviously Dillingham and Wagner and like all the freshmen that they got, and then they got 3 7-footers who haven't even been able to play yet. With Bradshaw being kind of the headliner of that class, who still hasn't played a game yet. So they're just going to keep getting better. I think they should have won that Kansas game. They kind of pissed down their leg a little bit in that last 5-10 minutes or so. Like if they don't do that, or even if they do, but just hold on long enough, they could be 7-0 now and looking like potentially one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country. But yeah, this team's just going to continue to keep getting better. Like you said, Mike, they got those. They got 2 veterans with Antonio Reeves and Trey Mitchell, and then all those freshmen. So it's like to have kind of like two guys to lean back on with Mitchell and Reeves, and then all those young freshmen that are just going to keep getting better. And then you get Bradshaw back later in the year, hopefully soon is what they're thinking. I was listening to the broadcast tonight, and Bill said that they have like after this game they have like 5 games over the next 5 weeks. Obviously, with like Christmas break coming up and starting to kind of this schedule kind of spreads out a little bit between Christmas and finals and everything. And like there's rules about when you can play during finals week, stuff like that. So they'll get a lot of time to kind of ease Bradshaw into it as he returns, and then maybe he finds a way to sneak into the starting lineup. But this Kentucky team, I think, is going to be really good. And I think, like I said, I think they're just going to keep getting better, and it's going to be a team that's going to be very fun to watch come March. But at the same time, you're relying on a lot of freshmen, so like you hope that they continue to get better, but you hope that at least not too many of them kind of hit that freshman wall. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out throughout the year.
Yeah, and they nearly shot 60% from the field today, 43% from three-pointer, and they only turned the ball over 8 times. Like that's if they can keep those numbers up, like there's not a lot of games that Kentucky's going to lose if they kind of play like they have been playing.
Yeah. Some other games. Currently, the second half just started between Alabama and Clemson. Alabama's up now 4. They just scored. Got this game on in the background right now, but they're up 4 on Clemson. Clemson got out to a big lead, but Alabama's working their way back. We'll give some updates throughout, do a little live podcasting with that. The other game that's currently live now, as we are recording, Ole Miss is dominating our former Bulldog, Jaden Taylor, and the NC State Wolfpack, 61-42 with 6 minutes left. Wolfpack not playing great as of late. We'll check in on our boy. Jaden has 6 points on 2 of 8 shooting and 1 of 6 from 3. So, yeah, not great for him, but
I don't want to throw shades at Jaden Tate. I don't want to throw shade at him. I kind of did.
I do. I know he's not listening, so I don't care. Jamin Brakefield right now has 21 for Ole Miss. So Ole Miss with this win can get to 6-0. So they're another team that might be a little sneaky in the SEC. Haven't really played anyone yet. Barely beat Temple last week, but kind of find a way to scratch and claw these wins. So we'll see. They got a big test on Saturday against Memphis before SEC play kind of starts to kick in after a couple more non-conference games. So we'll see. Maybe Ole Miss is a team to watch out for in the SEC. Some other games, Georgia Tech with the upset tonight over Mississippi State, 67-59. South Carolina beats Notre Dame 65-53. Syracuse beating LSU 80-57. And Missouri bouncing back after that loss to Jackson State with a 71-64 win over Pitt. The big day in this, unless do you guys have anything that you want to talk about with some of the games tonight?
I'm just in awe that Jamin Brakefield plays for Ole Miss. I totally forgot that dude was in college basketball still.
Yeah. Mike, you got anything?
Yeah, Chris Beard, 6-0. Ole Miss looks pretty good.
We'll see.
We'll see. Knows? I mean, they're well coached. They could make the tournament.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. The big day of this ACC SEC challenge is tomorrow, as we're recording tonight, if you're listening on Wednesday. Florida, Wake Forest. Big one, though. Tennessee at Carolina, like you talked about, Adam. Tennessee's schedule does not get any easier. You go to Maui for a week, and then you come out of that 1-2, maybe hanging your head a little bit, but you don't really have much time to turn around and wear off that jet lag because right back on a plane to Chapel Hill.
I think Tennessee's going to blow them out of the water.
You do?
I just feel like this is like the recipe, where you lose a couple games and everyone's on edge. I think Tennessee blows North Carolina out of the water at Chapel Hill.
Thoughts, Michael?
I kind of like that pick. I also think Tennessee is going to win. The only reason I think Tennessee is going to win, no statistics to back this up. I just don't see Tennessee being a 4-3 team right now.
That's true too.
They're too good to be 4-3. I mean, they looked really good at Maui. They have a really talented roster. I think they're going to bounce back, get it done. I don't think they're going to blow out North Carolina, but I think they're going to win the game.
Yeah, I like that too. I love this Tennessee team. I haven't been shy about saying it all year. I think you come out of that 1-2. They probably like you can either look at it two ways, hanging your head a little bit, or now they're coming back, got something to prove. And Mike, like you said, I don't know if I see this team being 4-3. I don't think you can be upset or surprised if they're 4-3. I don't think that will be indicative of how the rest of the season goes. I think it'll just be a tough stretch in their schedule that you gotta kind of accept that that's what the hand you were dealt. But I just don't know if I see this team going 4-3. So I like Tennessee tomorrow too. But some other games: Texas A&M, UVA at Virginia. That'll be an interesting game, especially to see if Radford and Coleman are back in that one. That would be big for A&M if they can get them back. If not, I'm looking at on the CBS Sports app. It shows me the lines for it, and the over/under of that game is 126.5. So that one could get pretty ugly over in Charlottesville. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Another big one, Duke. Your Dukies, Adam. Travel to Fayetteville, play Arkansas. How are you feeling for that one?
I feel pretty good. I feel very confident. I think we're a very good team. I like how Tyrese Proctor has been playing. Obviously, you're going to get a good game from Filipowski, no doubt about that. But I just think that this Duke team is deeper than Arkansas. Arkansas is a little banged up right now, and I'm very confident going into tomorrow.
I would have to agree with that. I think Duke's going to win the game. Arkansas, Tremont Mark's going to be out tomorrow, most likely, right?
He's got to be, yeah.
Got to be. So you're looking at a huge matchup disadvantage for Arkansas with Filipowski at the 4, and now you got to completely shift your rotation if you're Arkansas. I just think this Duke team's, like Adam said, is more complete and just a very good Duke team, probably a top 5 team in the country. I think they're going to get it done on the road.
Yeah, Arkansas kind of scuffling of late. Like we said, lost Tremont Mark and didn't have a great showing down in the Bahamas. Had to go to double overtime with Stanford to pull out that win, and then losses to Memphis and North Carolina. So they're coming out of that barely 1-2. I kind of said from the start of the year I did not think Arkansas. I think this is kind of the Eric Musselman blueprint where it brings a lot of guys in. Obviously Tremont Mark, bring in what's that guard whose name I'm blanking on?
See the transfer from Temple?
Yeah, Khalif Battle, Al Ellison. You bring a ton of transfers in to kind of replace that team from last year. Arkansas is a team that always gets better as the year goes on. I don't think they're gonna be great in this one, obviously with Tremont Mark out, but I wouldn't be too worried about Arkansas. I think they'll get things figured out, but I think tomorrow could be a tough one for them. So the other games, Virginia Tech, Auburn, kind of a sneaky good game in this one. Two teams that are kind of not where they'd like to be right now, probably, but two teams that could end up being pretty solid. Georgia, Florida State, and maybe the biggest matchup of this first year of this ACC SEC Challenge, Boston College at Vanderbilt. Just real headliner there for you.
Yeah. Make sure to tune in for that one.
On the SEC network tomorrow night.
Only real sickos will watch that game.
Especially when it's at the same time as Duke, Arkansas.
Yes.
That
was definitely planned.
But we got multiple TVs, so maybe we'll throw that on. What are you saying, Mike?
I was saying throw up the double box.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of it for the ACC SEC Challenge. Probably the biggest game of the week. Well, definitely the biggest game of the week. Friday night, UConn travels to Kansas. I'm extremely excited for that one. You don't often see, especially outside of like obviously you get some of these games with the former Big Ten ACC Challenge, now ACC SEC Challenge, and like Gavitt games and Big 12 SEC Challenge, stuff like that. You'll get some of these games on campus, but you don't often get games of this magnitude on campus sites that aren't associated with one of these challenges. So I think it's really cool that UConn and Kansas got this set up. But UConn takes their, I think, like now 22 game, not just win streak, but winning by double digits against non-conference opponents streak into Allen Fieldhouse on Friday. So that streak is going to be put up to the test really tough.
It definitely is, and I think this is a game of big threes. In Kansas, you got Dickinson, Dwan Harrison, Kevin McCullough Jr., and then with UConn, you got Klingon Caravan and Tristan Newton. It's just kind of some stars of college basketball line. This is going to be an awesome game to watch. And then on the sidelines, you got Danny Hurley and Bill Self. It's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Kansas is going to come away with this one. Obviously, they would have loved to win the Maui, and UConn came away and won. What was it? The Empire Classic. I feel like Kansas is going to rebound. I know they kind of lost the tight, or didn't lose. They won against, was it Eastern Illinois or something like that?
Eastern Illinois. Shout out Marty Simmons.
Shout out Marty Simmons. But they got it. They only won by 8 against them. You know, Kansas has been scuffling a little bit, but I do think Kansas is going to come out in Allen Fieldhouse ready to play. Very excited for that Hunter Dickinson, Donovan Klingon matchup. That should be a really good matchup among 7-footers. But I think Kansas is going to get it done now in Fieldhouse, and I think that UConn non-conference streak is going to come to an abrupt end.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's gone on this long, not only to win that many non-conference games in a row, especially when that includes the 6 tournament games, but to win all of them by double digits. Just an insane streak. If they keep it going, I don't care what Purdue does this week. I know they play Iowa on Friday. I don't know if they play a game earlier this week or whatever, but I don't care what Purdue does. If UConn goes into Kansas and wins by double digits, if they're not the number 1 team in the country, I don't know who is. But until
Bradley Braves,
maybe until UConn wins a game by less than double digits against the power or against a non-conference team, I'm going to be all in on them. I love UConn. I think they're an awesome team. I think Tristan Newton just continues to get better. He went through a little rough patch in the middle of the year last year and then really turned it on towards the end of the year, especially in the tournament. And he's started out this year hot. I think he's already got like 2 triple-doubles this season. So he's just an insane point guard for them. So that's going to be a really exciting game Friday night. So if you're thinking about going out Friday, going out on the town or anything like that, either cancel those plans ASAP or make sure to go to a place with TVs because
make sure you're sitting next to a TV.
Yeah, because that game's gonna be pretty wild, especially at Kansas. But yeah, very excited for that.
Double box is gonna go pretty crazy Friday night at 9.
With that in the Pac-12.
Western.
What were you saying? What was the other one?
Purdue Northwestern at 9 o'clock as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. Yeah. I was saying more.
Oh yeah, that one.
I was saying more Pac-12 championship for football. So maybe get the triple box out.
Yeah, you're gonna need a lot of TVs.
Just get the laptop out too.
Just go wherever you're at. Go to Target. Go to Walmart. Go to Best Buy. Grab
There's
a couple more TVs.
Definitely some Black Friday deals still.
Yeah,
And
grab
then
a
if you
couple more
missed this
teams.
episode, put the Empty Gym podcast on the computer next
That's
to you.
right.
Shameless plug there. But all right. So that game's on Friday. Saturday we got some good ones as well. Marquette at Wisconsin. Marquette gets another test at a Big Ten opponent. Where they were able to escape against Illinois. Took the loss on the road or at a neutral site in Hawaii against Purdue, and now they get another Big Ten opponent with Wisconsin. So excited for that one. Couple games out in Vegas. Colorado State plays Washington, so we'll see if Colorado State can keep this momentum going. And Gonzaga USC, another big one. Like we mentioned, Big Ten play starts up this week. Purdue Northwestern. I'm not sure how many other big games there are. Illinois plays at Rutgers. I know that. So that's a game that I'm a little bit nervous about. I guess we can talk Illinois for a second here. They
I guess we can.
I guess we can. I guess we have to.
Yeah. Since you brought it up.
Since I brought it up, this next 3 games is gonna be a freaking just a whirlwind. At Rutgers, FAU in the Garden, and then at Tennessee. So gonna learn a lot about the Fighting Illini over these next 3 games. Back to Big Ten play Friday night. Maryland at IU and Purdue at Northwestern. Like you mentioned, that's going to be a tough test for Purdue. Going on the road to a feisty Northwestern team. Shout out Luke Bentley. We'll see if Boo Boo, he's got some magic in him. Saturday, Illinois Rutgers is the only Big Ten game, but then you have, like we mentioned, Marquette, Wisconsin, and a future Big Ten conference game between Michigan and Oregon. Creighton plays Nebraska this week. Minnesota, Ohio State. Iowa, Purdue is not till Monday. Then there's a couple more Big Ten games next week. But Big Ten play starts up this week with those random December games with the 20-game schedule now. And then also, like you mentioned, Adam, Missouri Valley play starting up this week. The Braves got someone tomorrow, right?
I think you're right.
I know they play Indiana State on Saturday, which will be nationally televised. But
oh yes, put that on the main TV.
Yeah, that one gets priority on Saturday afternoon.
They play Murray State tomorrow.
Yeah, so their first conference game is against Murray State. But yeah, we got a couple conference games going up. Some good basketball mixed in with the conference championships for football going on this week, and then starting next Saturday is when Saturdays kind of start to get taken over by college basketball, and we start to see some really good non-conference matchups, and then before you know it, conference season is here. So we're getting right into the thick of it. After Feast Week, it's kind of just a whirlwind these next couple weeks, and then it kind of slows down around finals and winter break a little bit. And then right after that, it's into conference play right away. So exciting couple weeks of basketball coming up before conference play starts, and an exciting weekend this weekend.
Jack, I do got a question for you here.
Shoot.
So let's just go back to Illinois for a quick second. I'm gonna ask my question again. So scale of 1 to 10. I'm gonna ask you this after Illinois goes through their gauntlet too. 1 to 10. Coleman Hawkins radar. Where are we at?
So he's missed the last 3 games with a little knee problem. Coach Underwood said it came up in the summer. Tried to play through it a little bit. Found this little stretch in the schedule with some juggernauts of Valpo, Southern University, and Western Illinois to give him a little rest before this stretch coming up. So I'm a 9 on Coleman Hawkins. I love Coleman. I know that there's a lot of Coleman hate out there, but I'm still on top. I still love Coleman. We'll see after this next week. We'll see if that changes at all. But I still love Coleman. But.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to ask that question where we're at 1 to 10 on the Coleman Hawkins radar once they go through this gauntlet.
Yeah, that 1 to 10 might change, but hopefully it changes from a 9 to a 10.
There's always that possibility.
That's
never
I
know.
left myself some room for improvement.
There you go.
Bobby,
Smart.
this next 3-game stretch for Illinois, 2-1 a victory. What are we thinking?
I would love to come out of this 2-1. 3-0. I'm buying my tickets for Phoenix in April. 2-1. I'm buying my tickets for Des Moines in March. To some random regional or some random first round game. 1-2. I'm selling my season or I'm not selling my season tickets. 0-3. I'm selling my season tickets. 1-2. I'm upset, but I see a path.
0-3, you're buying NIT tickets.
Shout out Hinkle Fieldhouse, hosting the semifinals and finals of the NIT. So maybe I'll buy those if we go 0-3.
Maybe.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Would love to come out of this 2-1. I'd be perfectly fine with that. 3-0 would be awesome, but gotta be realistic, especially with none of these being at home and 2 of them being true road games. Gonna be tough. But if we can come out of it 2-1, the most likely 2-1 I see is probably beating Rutgers on the road and beating FAU in the Garden at Tennessee is gonna be really tough, especially for like I guess it won't be the first true road game with playing Rutgers before, but it's kind of the second true road game. But gonna be tough stretch. So we'll learn a lot about this young Fighting Illini team over these next week or so. But I'm excited for it. Do we have anything else? Anything else anyone wants to talk about?
Not really, no. I think we kind of covered it all.
Yeah, we touched everything.
Yeah. Well,
Coming.
yeah. We'll be back next week. Be able to recap this big day tonight when you're listening to this of this ACC SEC Challenge big weekend with UConn and Kansas, like I mentioned, and some pretty good games on Saturday. So we'll recap all that next week. But until then, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in a week.